What's going on, guys? Superchache39, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Factions, Tips, and Tricks. And in today's episode, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to locate bases / raids easily, methods that are used by pro faction players, methods that I use myself, and stuff like that. I think you guys are going to really find this useful. If so, please hit the like button for the love of bacon if you guys know what I'm saying. Other than that, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so the first tip is one of my personal favorites. It's the one that I typically use all the time, and I know a lot of other faction players definitely use this tip as well, is entities. So you can locate a base based on entities. This is perfectly okay on all faction servers and everything like that, because all you have to do is hit F3, and it brings up this window right here that you guys see on the screen. Now, to track the entities, where you want to look is where it says E. Now, it's underneath the C, it's underneath your frames per second up there at the top. I'll put a little box up there so you guys can see it. As you can see, it says 0 out of 15. So what that is saying is that there are 14, it changed to 14 now, entities that are within the chunk that I am standing on. So, what the 0 stands for is the actual entities that I am looking at. So I am not looking at any entities right now. There's nothing in my field of view, essentially. So if I turn around, you see these guys over here. See how that number changes to 9 out of 14? That's telling me that within my view, I have 9 entities that I can see, which is totally awesome. So you can use that to locate bases. And how does that work? Because item frames are entities, grinders are entities, you know, because you're spawning in cows, you're spawning in creepers, all that stuff. So you're able to locate bases using that as well, which is totally awesome. This is the tip that I always use all the time to find bases. And I mean, it's totally OP. All right, guys, so here we are at the tutorial base that I've built for you guys so that you can see how to implement this tactic into your actual gameplay, right? So we have 37 entities within this chunk. I'm looking at 3. One of them is the banner, because I think the banners are logged as entities and stuff like that. But as you guys can see, I've dug this hole straight down for the base and stuff. But we have a cow grinder down there with some item frames and everything. So you guys can see, like, there's a high entity count. And when I look down, it even logs that there's some down in that direction. So you can actually kind of target where the grinder is, or where the actual entities are, so like item frames, stuff like that, down below as you dig too. So you can actually use it as a tracking system, which is totally awesome. The other good indicator too, and unfortunately we don't have any sheep around here, there's one off there in the desert, but that's not really going to help us. A good indicator as well is if there's sheep spawned up here, right, and you're standing within a chunk, you know, there's 34 entities in here, blah, blah, blah. You're like, I wonder if there's actually a base. Well, there's signs that you can look for, right? So if there's sheep around, that is literally a death message, I guess, that there is a base around. Because if the grass is eaten, right, and it's just a regular dirt block around the sheep, that means that there's player activity because the chunk was loaded, which is totally awesome. So if you see those signs, you definitely know that there is 100% a base around, in the vicinity. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. So let's drop down in here, and I'm going to eat some bacon real fast as we're dropping. Woo! Yeah, sweet. So here we are, and as you guys can see, these things are spawning in and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's totally awesome. So once this thing actually gets fired up and the cows are spawning in, stuff like that, it even logs even more entities. I think what I was reading was actually the spawners themselves. So if you have a player that's like AFK in an AFK pool and stuff like that, and the spawner's running, that will totally help you guys find bases as well, because the cows are spawning in, so the entities are going to shoot up. Like, as you guys can see as I'm standing here, it's in the 40s. See how quickly it's fluctuating? That's also a great indication when a grinder is actually running that there's definitely 100% a base around. So that's a great tactic. Now, this tactic can also be used in conjunction with something else, so we're going to go check out that one as well. All right, guys, so here we are at the next tactic that can be used as well. So basically, as you guys can see, I have a PvP texture pack on, so the water opacity is actually really light for me, so I can actually see through it. Some of you guys may not have this. You guys might have like the default Minecraft texture pack where it's kind of, really dark and blue, and you can't really see a lot underneath. So I'm going to show you guys, and this tactic even works for me, even though my opacity is already really light with the water itself, is you can use a night vision potion, right? A potion of night vision, and just put it on. Look at that. See how well you can see down there, which is totally awesome. So as you guys know, a lot of faction players like to build their bases. Oh, I fell in the water. In the water itself, because it adds more protection, stuff like that. So it's harder to raid, right? Well, you can actually locate some of these bases because a lot of people have access points and stuff like that to where they can actually come up to the surface and stuff. So I have some examples sitting around here. Now, luckily on our server, we can actually fly. Some faction servers don't allow flying. So basically, to get around that, what you can do is that you can actually just throw it on a boat and ride around on the boat, you know. Where did my boat go? There it is. Sweet. So you can, you know, pop yourself inside of a boat and just kind of float around. On our faction server, if you don't have the king rank and you can't fly, you can use the boat and go around. So I have some examples set out here, and I actually lost them. I don't know. But basically what you want to look for is you want to look for like cobblestone, because that blocks entrances and stuff like that. I'm trying to find where I put that stuff. I can't even find it. Wow, what a fail. What a fail. But basically you find that. You can find openings. Is that the opening down there? No. See, now that's a good example right there. This isn't one that I actually created, but if you guys jump down here, right, you can actually see an abandoned mine shaft. But I'm trying to find where I put my stuff. I had a little example set up of cobblestone, stuff like that. So basically what you just want to do is look for cobblestone as you're going around, and you want to look for openings with some light, stuff like that, possibly. But that's just another tactic, and you can also use the entity tactic as well. So you can fly around like this and see the entities as well. So right now we have 10, so we know that there really isn't a base around here, stuff like that. It's kind of fluctuating, but this is a great tactic to use to find bases that are underwater as well. All right, so the final tactic, which isn't really my favorite because it takes a lot of work, especially if you can't fly. It's one of the reasons why we have fly enabled on Minoria.net, because I'm totally lazy. But anyhow, basically, on other faction servers, right, if you don't have fly enabled, to find sky bases, it's kind of difficult. So what you want to do is you actually want to build a huge nerd pole thing and just kind of, you know, build all the way up like to build height. And once you get up to build height, what you want to do is start just building off into one direction, right? So like you can, let's say that this is build height, you know, you start going this way, and eventually you'll be able to stop, right, look around, see if there's any sky bases, kind of dealio, stuff like that. That's so slow, you know, it's painful, you know, you're just kind of building with cobblestone. However, if you have an abundance of cobblestone, which I do, you could totally use it for this to locate sky bases and things like that, especially if you don't have fly. You can jam with your friends, you know, get in a Skype call, chill out, listen to music, do all that kind of stuff while you're doing it, because it is really boring and stuff like that. But basically, if you have fly, you can just kind of, you know, fly around and find it, obviously. And I'm totally failing at flying for some reason. Let's do this. There we go. Sweet. So you can just kind of fly around and look for sky bases and stuff. And like I said, the best areas to try to find bases is at the world border. So definitely try to do that. On Minoria.net, it's 150K. So other faction servers, that might vary. So it could be like 20K, let's say, for example. So you will want to go out all the way to 20K and then start walking around trying to find bases and stuff, because a lot of factions players like to build, you know, their bases by the world border, just for thinking like, you know, there's not a lot of players that are going to walk out that far. Added protection, because you can't get like, you know, attacked from the one side. You can only get attacked from essentially like 3 sides, right? If you build a square base, you can only get attacked from 3 sides, and you can't get attacked from the back side because you can't get around it, kind of deal. But yeah, that's just another tip for you guys, and that's all I pretty much have for you. So like I said, you'd build this all the way up to build height, which is 256 blocks on servers, unless they change it, which you can change it in the server properties. Here on Minoria.net, it's 256, I'm pretty sure. So you just build it all the way up here, and then you would start, you know, building off in a direction, kind of deal like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more and stuff like that, definitely leave that in the comment section below. This is a like button for the love of bacon if you guys haven't already. And other than that, Superchache39 is out. Bye!
This is really how we live.